Today we're going to take a look at the Saucony Ride 17. It will be available January 1st, 2024, $140, same as the prior version, and it sees some significant changes from the 16.
Everybody, Sam from RoadTrailRun. Today we're going to take a look at the Saucony Ride 17, which gets quite a few significant updates, and we're going to compare it AB Run to the 16 as well as the Triumph 20. And I'd also highlight we have RoadTrailRun custom Fractel caps and buckets at a link here right in the description. Let me show you the bucket before. So here's our bucket. So the buckets are $49 and the caps are $39. So let's get to the shoes. And I'm going to take them out on AB Run with the 16 and also the Triumph 20 unchanged underfoot between the 20 and the 21. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's get into a few details before we take them out for the AB runs and a second run. So the Ride is Saucony's kind of stalwart daily trainer. So it would compete with, say, Nike's Pegasus, Cumulus from Asics, and New Balance 880. So it's a flexible shoe with a 8mm drop. And it gets some real big changes here. It's still $140, but the biggest change is it gets PWRRRUN Plus foam from Saucony. This is the same foam that's in our Triumph over here, the Triumph, and it's a TPU expanded bead kind of foam. So you might ask, well, what about the Triumph? It's pretty similar in stats. We have a 35mm heel, 27mm forefoot here, and over here we just add 2mm to the heel. However, there are some significant changes. And you've also got to understand that as shoes evolve, they don't all come out at the same time. So this is the Triumph 20. The 21 is identical underfoot, had a different upper. But I imagine the Triumph will be due for an update. But what happens here is we actually get a 5mm wider platform than the prior Ride. And it's actually wider than the Triumph, which is sort of supposed to be our easier trainer, kind of more mellow trainer. Same PWRRRUN foam. Before, with our Ride 16, which is right here, we had PWRRRUN foam, an EVA TPU blend. And I can tell you already that the PWRRRUN here is firmer to pressing than the PWRRRUN Plus. And I'll demonstrate a little bit here so you can see. A little hard to see. Let me get the Ride 16 up there. You can see that's a firmer foam. But what's interesting is, at least in this comparison, with our Triumph, the Triumph PWRRRUN Plus is definitely a bit softer than in our Ride 17. So what Saucony has done here is they've kept kind of the spirit of the Ride, and the 13 was my daily trainer of the year. It's different, but you've still got that kind of more up-tempo, highly cushioned feel. We don't change in stack height from the 16, but we do get wider, and I'm going to show you that here. A little hard to see, but we're actually 5mm wider in the 17 at the heel, the midfoot, and the forefoot. So it's a wider platform. As a result of that wider platform, and as you can see, more rubber on the lateral side, we do gain some weight, kind of to be expected, simple physics. So we go from in my 8.5 sample here, from 8.7 ounces, 247 grams, to 9.63, 273 grams. So still not bad, still below 10 ounces, which is kind of my magic number.
So what Saucony's tried to do here is kind of modernize the foam. It isn't a supercritical foam as their PB is, and give it a bit more kind of a lively, less firm ride. And I found the 16 kind of firm, kind of old school. Still a very good shoe, but here they give it a bit livelier, bouncier ride, but not quite as soft and kind of mellow as in the current Triumph. So I've already taken them out. What's also noticeable is they now have a more pronounced rocker. Let's see if we can line them up so you can see that. A more pronounced rocker, you can see that both, I think, at the heel and the forefoot. You can see the flatter kind of profile here. Here we're more swept up, and what that leads to so far is kind of a smoother kind of rocker effect, even though we are wider. The mesh itself of the two is very, very similar in feel. This may be just a touch softer. They both have, the old one and the new, have a fairly rigid vertical toe bumper. What's changed is the support from the midfoot to the rear. Now, in my review, our review of the 16, found this non-stretch panel here, kind of rigid, as well as the heel counter. This was all just super locked down, almost to a fault. You can see that panel extends through the midfoot. What they've done here is we still have a very substantial heel counter, but a more conventional kind of collar approach, and they've created a panel here of a plasticky, flexible material to lock you down the midfoot to the rear. So it's a more comfortable lockdown. There's nothing to be to be criticized in the lockdown here. It's not quite what was here, which I think was a bit overdone. So far, they've been very easy to lace up. They do have a gusset tongue. They're well padded. So what we have is a kind of a new take on the classic daily trainer, because we have the 8mm drop. We're sub 10 ounces. We've got a newer foam that sits between our older PWRRUN and our Triumph. So this is a shoe that really can handle all of your kind of daily training miles. It is a bit more substantial, a bit broader. So maybe it might be a bit more stable, but I think it's pretty similar. And of course, Saucony has the guide if you want some stability, but that one will retain the regular PWRRUN foam, and we're going to be testing that as well. So I'm going to take them out for a run. I'm also going to take them for AB runs versus the Triumph and its predecessor on the New Hampshire coast. It's just a beautiful, beautiful day here. Stay tuned. Okay, we're on Rye Beach. You can see it's about a mile long, and it's low tide, so nice running on the beach. So I'm going to talk a little bit about fit now of our Ride 17. So it's a true to size fit. As customary with Saucony, they don't mess around with a regular fit, making it overly broad. It's a bit pointy in the toe box, but not uncomfortably so. You can always get the wides. Hold is good. I think maybe the panel on the medial side could be a little bit relaxed. The plastic panel, a little rubbery, but the hold is very good. So this upper really reflects the kind of daily training focus of the shoe. This isn't designed for a sloppy fit. It's designed for moving along. You can see we have a fairly moderately padded tongue. I find the lacing really good here. I haven't had to adjust a second. And as I said, heel hold very good and comfortable, if not plush. It's not a plush kind of fit, but that isn't what this shoe's all about. You go over to the Triumph for that. Okay, headed down to the harbor.
So what about the ride? Energetic, smooth. There's no plate here, but the rocker really gets you going forward. The heel landing is stable. The cushioning is plentiful, soft, but not mushy in any way. So, oh, there's my friend the dog. So it's a really good all-around training ride. I would say a wide range of paces. So of course, it's not the endorphin speed, which is lighter, less stable, even with its plate, but it's mighty good for like 80% of your miles plus. And they've really done a great job with the front geometry here, with a combination of some rocker and some flex, and then all that energetic PWRRUN Plus cushioning. Faster shoe than the Triumph. We're going to get to that comparison now. Softer, a bit less reactive than the Ride 16. That's the town barn there, town farm. So we got the kind of ride that can do just about anything in your training. So I think this is a good choice for the runner who is going to compete a bit or a lot. Could serve as a good first sort of more moderate pace racing shoe, even a marathon shoe. And it's a great value at $140 with the PWRRRUN Plus midsole foam. It isn't super critical, it isn't the super lightest, but it sure is fun to run. This is the harbor. Boats are mostly all in. So we got a boat high and dry there. I think maybe they're trying to repair it. So where does our Ride 17 fit in? Well, it's a daily trainer. In other words, good for most of your miles. I think it fills a slot between the endorphin speed and the Triumph or the Shift at Saucony as sort of the more flexible, unplated daily trainer. And now with its new foam, new PWRRRUN Plus foam, it gets more energy, more kind of bounce fun than we had before in the earlier versions of the ride. Gains a bit of weight. And in Saucony, if you want sort of something faster and unplated, you look to the Sinister. If you want your recovery type shoe, the Triumph. Maybe for some in sort of the long run plated trainer, the Convara Pro. Although this one fills a lot of slots, and at $140, it's a very decent bargain. I wish it was lighter, but I'm not really noticing the weight. I also wonder if that 5mm broader midfoot platform than before, and then the Triumph might be slimmed down a bit to give it a little more forward oomph transition. But the plus is you get a bit more midfoot soft stability as well. Gonna keep going. We got a big hawk up by the pole. Really beautiful. I don't know what it is. A few conclusions after my second run and a half in our Ride 17. So Saucony had a challenge here in updating what's a reliable kind of stalwart without changing it so much that it was unrecognizable. And I think they've done this very successfully. The Ride 16 was dated in foam. And it was kind of overly kind of locked down and upper. Here they went with the PWRRRUN Plus. That's definitely softer, but not ridiculously soft, a little firmer than the Triumph has. And they also went with a wider platform on the ground, as you can see, filling in the area here on the lateral side. Plenty of durable rubber here for lots of miles, because that's what a daily trainer does. It gives you
something you can run in for just about any run. And I would say that this new Ride 17 is more pleasant, if a touch less aggressive, but not so pleasant, soft, and mushy that it becomes something else. There's plenty of front flexibility, as you can see, a snappy flex point. Plus, we have a nice rocker on both ends. I like how they've done that. They tend to do a better job, Saucony, in combining rocker and flex than some other brands. I think particularly of some of the higher stack Asics where it's more a rocker kind of approach without much flex. Here they give us a nice long path to rock forward, yet there's enough response, if you will, off this rubber, which is, from my pressing and comparing, is pretty firm, but it doesn't get slappy. It's quite quiet. You can see that broad platform, 5 millimeters wider than before, 5 millimeters wider than the Triumph, but definitely a different, more up-tempo ride than, say, the Triumph, and a bit less than, say, the Endorphin Speed. So it's $140. It's coming out January 1st of 2024. A very solid ride update that's true to what the shoe's all about. 80% of your miles, just about any run. Friendly enough, I think, for the beginner runner who wants something that's relatively light at about 10 ounces, that'll be durable, that'll be comfortable. The cushioning is forgiving without being sloppy. It's not overly firm. So it's really a fine update, a daring update in some ways, because we completely changed the foam and we get wider. But Saucony didn't go too extreme. They went just right here. So Saucony talks about more contact on the ground from our 17, and I can feel that. The broader platform gives a kind of a more steady landing. I'm also feeling the additional bounce of the PWRRUN Plus versus the PWRRRUN, while the PWRRRUN is a little snappy, a little more responsive, and of course a little firmer. So teeny bit more relaxed. Most noticing it in the 17, more relaxed, kind of in the forefoot in terms of the flow of the shoe. Easier kind of feel of flex and bounce off the front. The heel, a little softer as well. Now in terms of fit, very, very similar. The new rear configuration is a little less rigid, a little more comfortable, and I'm noticing the collars are more comfortable. Up front, I think the 17 so far is a little bit narrower in fit. I think they'll be wide as well. And I'm noticing a bit more kind of hold pressure from the panel. I don't think it's going to be an issue. And I'm also noticing a bit more arch support here in the 17. My 16 isn't overly worn. So all in all, a little bit more relaxed, certainly bouncier, more energetic ride from the 17. A little bit less stiff feeling than the 16, whereas the 16 a bit more pop, a bit kind of stiffer overall feeling. Both pretty darn similar, but I think this new broader platform makes a difference here. Gives you a bit more stability, a bit more kind of smooth flow back to front. So let's talk a bit the difference in ride here between Triumph and Ride 17. It's sort of like, whereas with the Ride 16 comparison, I said the Ride 16 was a bit snappier, not quite as soft, a bit more kind of responsive. Well, we can say the same here. The Triumph is softer, more mellow, not quite as much pop, even though they share the PWRRRUN Plus. Remember, the Triumph's PWRRRUN is softer, and here it's a little bit firmer. So as a recovery long run shoe, Triumph still great.
you want a bit more pop, a bit more get up and go, same general feeling, a bit firmer, a bit snappier, you go with our Ride 17. So here we got the Triumph 20 compared to our Ride 17. In terms of fit, just a slightly bit more relaxed fit. I think the front of the toe box is a little less pointy. The hold is really good in both. I kind of prefer the rear hold here, and it just seems a little more secure, a little higher, I think. And in terms of midfoot hold, I do like the Triumphs a bit better. This is a bit more aggressive, as the 16 was at the midfoot, when the 16 extended to the rear, all that extra kind of support, a bit more locked down, not quite as comfortable.
Thank you very much for watching. We're going to have a full multi-tester review over on RoadTrailRun.com, and please consider picking up one of our Fractel buckets or caps. Have a great run.